to the Grand Rapids Fire Department. We want to do this to show our appreciation for the community interest in this sort of thing, but also we'll be stocking these boards at our local plants for emergency use at those points.
So you use them one time and throw them away?
They are developed as a disposable board. They've been used a number of times out in the field. They've been designed for mass casualty situations, accidents, criminal type actions, natural disasters. But we've experienced out in the field they have been used numbers of times. I know of some 12 times. They're used for water rescue. They are waterproof. They're lightweight, lighter than a plywood board, conventional plywood board. It's a victim because of the side wings coming up and trapping it, acting like a stretcher rather than just a flat board. We recommend 300-pound victims, although we've had 350-pound victims on them. We can demonstrate if you'd like. You want to pick me up?
That's a good salute.
We're going to need about 4 or 6 guys.
Doesn't matter.
What happened to you?
Okay.
You just came off the
That over here.
Really mobilize them well. Just gonna have to listen up.
Look, I felt pretty good when that works, man.
Here's your shirt. Well, one project check.
Just don't want to get down in it. So now don't flip.
Do you leave arms right alongside here?
Yeah, I think you can do that same sort of thing on that side after that great demonstration I just gave you. I'll hold this if you can move it. Far enough up that you can take the tape out.
Brand new there, so
Took that out of the place.
dispose of that tape.
If you'll put your knee under that, get the
Draw that up.
Pull the tape up just like you're going to belt.
Okay, can we have 4 motions?
Okay, now we got it. Last year was here. Now you relax, okay?
Open sesame?
Pretty strong. Is that too pretty Ricky in the street?
Oh, yeah.
So they are using one of the
Wax poly blend. It starts out with special paper, special adhesive, and laminating between the two sections.
From the packaging industry to share some information with us. I believe we'll probably have a quieter atmosphere. I think our friends next door have left, and with them hopefully majority of the noise. If they're still here, they may be a little less noisy. I apologize for that. Mr. Terry Niederveld from Packaging Corporation of America out of Granville who's been with him for 37 years in the packaging industry, is a manager of new product development. And anytime any of you are looking at new product or a new idea, you need to think out some steps in the process of how do you take an idea that's up here and convert it into something that's down there on the floor. Those are some of the ideas I believe that they've developed and worked partnership with growers in Michigan. And he's going to talk about important issues with cartons, stackability, palletizing, specialty items, and then taking this idea and developing it into a package. So there's a little two-prong approach to this thing, new ideas and then some other issues that we heard about this morning that he'll reinforce again this afternoon. So Terry, it's all yours.
Take care of some household duties first. Here's a packet in front of you. First of all, the thing that looks like an accordion is a sunblocker. It goes in the windshield of your car or truck. You've seen those out in California. We happen to make them, and it's a handout. So you're welcome to it. If you don't want it, leave it on the table, and we'll take it back. The other thing I've left in front of you is some handouts in this packet. And what you're going to find in there, I'm not going through them all. You can do that at your leisure later on. But you'll find some things in there about stacking, proper stacking approach, and why it works. You'll find some information there about cascading. We'll talk a little bit about that as to what it is. Just a number of things. There's some on machinery in there, and some on box design, and a propaganda sheet about our company called Spectrum, which will tell you that our company does other things than corrugated boxes. We're into plastics, we're into foam packages, a lot of things. And the other thing I want to mention, T. Downs mentioned the Firebox handbook this morning. He said you could get it for 11 bucks. Well, I'm here to cut his price because I've got them for you. And if you want one, help yourself afterwards. They're free. Okay, really appreciate the opportunity of talking to you. And of course, it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart, packaging, having been in it 37 years. And more recently, into the product development end of it. And so I have an opportunity to travel around the country, developing products, packaging products in California, Central America, Guatemala, Michigan, Florida, wherever the need arises. So I do enjoy my job, or I guess I wouldn't have stayed around for 37 years. My background in agriculture, I was born and raised in Hudsonville, Michigan, and I can remember on my hands and knees in the field weeding onions and carrots and topping those rascals too. So that's my extent of the agriculture end of it. I guess that determined in my mind that I better get in packaging and get off my knees. Times have changed since then, thank goodness. I think we're going to have to turn down some lights, probably. I'll try and get out of the way. Okay. This is a sketch, a woodcut of the 1800s and how they handled packages. And the packages were made of wood, and they handled them with gaff hooks. And fortunately, we don't handle packages that way today. Or do we? This is Fulton Fish Market in New York City 2 months ago. The guy with the gaff hook does use it. The only difference is now they're corrugated containers, not wood. When that container finally ends up in the restaurant or retail store, it has at least a dozen gaff holes in it where he's jammed his hook through it and dragged it around the ground in a truck. So things haven't changed a whole lot. Transportation, back in the 1800s, pretty crude. They stacked barrels on top of boxes. It was an uncushioned rail car. We do it differently today, thank goodness. Here's a guy who had a better idea in a trailer. He loaded that rascal, had it braced pretty well, but it didn't arrive very well. So have things changed? Probably not. Hopefully we're evaluating them better and ending up with a better product market. Ideas to reality. I'm going to say that's packaging ideas, packaging of produce ideas to reality, and we'll go from there. And there's a number of issues that we have to concern ourselves with once we have an idea. Anybody can have an idea. Once we got that idea in mind, we have to concern ourselves with some issues. And I heard that this morning from Tom. He was talking about the issues of concern. And we had not talked beforehand, but I noticed and listened to him. He has a lot of the same points that I'll cover. Issues to consider when developing a produce package. Here's the ones I put down. You need to determine the quantity or volume of the product, the weight of the product, if that's how you're going to ship it, the fragility of the product, the cooling, extraction of field heat, product packing, the handling. Is it one box at a time, floor loading type handling, or is it pallet loaded? Warehousing, either at your location or at the receiving location. The shipping of it, the transportation environment, will it be a wet environment? Will it be a humid? Will it be cold? Will it be warm? Certainly the marketing aspect of it, which was pretty well covered this morning. And last but certainly not least is the end user. What do you want? So I'm going to run through these. Some of them I'm going to spend more time on than others, and I've got some examples to kind of illustrate some of these things. But what I'll go through is these issues, and once we get through that, I want to take you on a walk through a product development of a package we did actually in '85. And you'll see that we covered the issues and we covered all the development steps to arrive at a successful package in the end. Quantity of product and weight. You've got an idea for a produce package. You certainly have to determine what it is you're going to pack to. 6 per container, 12 per container. Is it going to be a count item? Or is it going to be by pounds, 30, 40, 50? Both of those things are related to the pre-packs. Is it going to be a pre-pack? You're probably talking 3, 4, 6 items to a pre-pack. You need to consider yourself with the user and receiver's needs, primarily in the weight packages, the 50 pounds. Is he going to be able to handle it? Is the teenager in the fast food restaurants coming from a food service location, is he going to be able to handle 50 pounds of produce in a box, or is he going to throw it off the back of the truck? So you have to concern yourselves with how is your package going to be handled, and what are you going to put it in weight or count. Fragility or shelf life of the package, pretty well covered. I just put up these 3 products. I've worked with all 3 in the past year, longer than that, but again in the past year. Peaches being a very fragile product, and maybe what I ought to do is stop right here and find out what are some of the products that you folks raise and pack. Someone referred to it this morning but never got an answer. Can we just quickly zip around the table and just tell me what kind of products we're packing? Let's start down here.
Indian corn and gourds.
Okay.
Peppers.
Okay.
Cabbage.
Cabbage. Okay.
Squash. Peppers.
Okay.
Squash. Beans. Peas. Slicer cucumbers.
Okay.
Cauliflower, asparagus, winter squash.
Okay. Good. Melons. Okay.
Peppers. Celery.
All right.
Onions.
Okay.
Onions. Potatoes.
Is that the green onions or the both? Okay.
Cucumbers and peppers.
Okay. Okay.
Mixed vegetables.
All right. Steve, how about you? No, you don't pack. Guys in the back don't pack anything, right? Okay. Peaches are one of the items that have a very fragile condition to them, and the shelf life isn't that long. Chances are you're picking the peach a little bit green anyway. You're hoping it'll ripen before it gets to market. But even beyond that, the reason we're picking a little green is so it doesn't crush. And I think I'll show you some examples of why maybe it's picked green. We've developed a package that allows the peach grower to pick his peaches a day later than he normally would, allow him to swell up a little more in the tree and get that blush to it, getting a better peach because we've got a better package that resists crush. And I'll show you what I mean. On the other hand, cabbage is, although it's fragile, it does have a shelf life. It's not certainly as fragile as peaches or radicchio. Cabbage, in most cases, is jammed in a package and many times floor loaded on a truck. As long as it's kept cool, kept refrigerated, kept wet, it's going to probably arrive to market pretty well. Bruising is not a real concern. Radicchio, I don't know how many of you are familiar with radicchio. Here's a radicchio tray that I developed for a Guatemala farm. And this tray will actually end up in the produce counter on display with 12 heads of radicchio in it. They wanted a stackable tray. This was probably a good product thing. It happened very quickly, but they were looking at stapling plastic corners onto their box so they could get a nesting feature. And one morning over breakfast, we developed this package in Guatemala. And they load them on container-sized loads on boats and ship them to Florida, and from there to dispense throughout the U.S. It's a one-piece. It can be set up in the shed by hand where it has to be. They don't have a lot of mechanics to set it up there. And it does nest and stacks 10 high on a trailer. So it's a way to handle a fragile product. Radicchio needs to be shipped very quickly, kept moist, kept cool, and it needs to get to the produce counter and sold very quickly. If you go in some of the Meyer stores and so on around here, you'll see radicchio on the shelf, and some of it ought to not be out there. It really looks bad. It's just past its time. And, but it's very expensive, so I can understand why they don't want to take it off the produce counter. Cooling, extraction of field heat, very important. Just listed some of the ways that's done that I've seen. Hydrocooling, either hydrocool the product before packaging or hydrocooling the product in the package. Peaches, for example, are hydrocooled basically in bulk and then packed. On the other hand, sweet corn is generally packed and then hydrocooled in the box itself. And it's a flush of cold water, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Air cooling, this all will determine what kind of box you're going to end up with. Well, that's why that's a very important issue to look at these things. Vacuum cooling, top ice or slush ice. Someone had a slide this morning showing a slush icing device.